First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming to do this presentation. Today we're going to be talking about how to be a little more active in our lives just by basic and simple things. To begin, when I first thought about being physically active, I thought that means I had to hit the gym, do weights, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But in reality, I figured out that there's a much more simpler method in becoming physically active. But I want us to all think about real quick, what are we doing currently in our lives to be physically active? What do we consider physically active? Or to be physical, or physical activity in general? Do we think of the gym? Do we think of doing household chores? Do we think about gardening? And then after you think about the definition of what it is of what physical activity is, I want you to think about what you're doing currently in your lives. Whether you're going to the gym, whether you're tending a garden or walking a dog. And think, do you fit that description of what you consider to be physical activity or physically active? Then I want you to double check. Are you sure that you're correct? Because I promise you by the end of this presentation, you will have a different definition of what it means to be physically active on a basic level and an expert level. To begin, we want to talk about the importance of being physically active. We know that in America today, we have kind of a little bit of a crisis on our hands. We do have 60 or 2/3 of us Americans are considered overweight or obese. But by being physically active, it'll actually improve our health. It'll actually reduce risk factors in our lives, whether that's type 2 diabetes, cancer, or the most common thing, cardiovascular disease. We know that by doing cardio, we can help our cardiovascular system be perfected, our blood will run smoothly, and we'll have no problems with that. And last but not least, it'll help improve our life quality overall. One little fun fact that was done by a study of the American Heart Association was that 1 hour of regular exercise can actually improve your life expectancy by 2 hours. So if you hit the gym for 2 hours, you can actually improve your life expectancy by more than 4 hours. So to do that for a full day, you would need to go hit the gym for 12 hours, and you would actually live a day longer. For adults, anyone over the age of 18 actually, currently 49% of adults do some sort of physical activity, whether it's running on the treadmill or the elliptical or walking a dog of some matter. 49% of adults in America today consider themselves physically active, while only 20.9% not only do cardio, but they also do muscle strengthening exercises. So going to the gym, lifting weights, doing something a little bit beyond just cardio. I want you guys to think for a second, where do you fall in that category? Are you part of the 49% who just do cardio? Or are you part of the 20.9% who go a little bit above and beyond that? Or do you not fall in that kind of category? And that's okay if you don't, because I promise you that you will find yourself in the 49% category, and I'm sure that after this presentation, more people will actually, that number will be actually higher than just 49%. So where can we start? Well, to begin, we can do basic and simple things to improve to actually be physically active. Some simple steps include just doing basic chores. Some include, just walking around instead of just watching TV on the couch, walking around the couch, kind of doing like little lunges as we walk to our office chairs or whatever the case may be. We don't have to do something drastic either. None of us are going to turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger overnight by just walking around the block, once or twice. But by doing so, we can start in small, simple steps and work our way up. And just by, like I said, by basic chores, we can do, a little bit of physical activity. So as we clean our rooms and as we do other things, we actually are more physically active than we think. When we're at home, there's a list of things that we do that actually are considered physically active. One of those is just walking our dog and playing fetch. Whether that's walking Miley, or whether it's helping a neighbor out and walking their dog, or just walking around the condominium or the block for a couple times, you're actually being physically active and you're considered physically active. Another way is by working in a garden or working on a community garden if there's one available. Here in the city there actually is one in downtown Lake Stevens, and also in the Lundin Park area, where there's a community garden that you can actually go and do weeds or do little chores that will actually help you become physically active. Cleaning our house. Many of us probably have messy rooms or messy, just messy areas. I know I'm guilty of that. But by cleaning our houses, cleaning up rooms, picking those things up, we're actually being physically active. Whether you knew that or not, as you're doing these basic chores around your house, you are physically active. And at home, we can lift weights, march, or pace around the couch as we are watching TV. Whether it's the latest episode of The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or whatever TV show we're into, we can actually be physically active while being entertained at the same time. We can also be physically active at work, whether it's walking during breaks or lunch. We have all these opportunities to really become physically active, and the more we do that, the more physically active we can be and the healthier lives we'll have. We can also exercise on our way to our chairs. I've heard a couple of people who actually do lunges on their way to their office chairs. My dad and my father, who used to work at GTE, now known as Verizon, said he would actually have coworkers who kind of sped walk to their chairs. One of them who actually physically did lunges, and as he did that, he thought it was kind of weird, to be honest, but in reality his coworker was doing nothing more than just trying to stay fit and trying to stay healthy on just a basic level. Another way we can be physically active at work is by taking the stairs instead of the escalator or the elevator if we have that opportunity. We have the holidays coming up, and as we do our shopping, we can take those heavy bags, we can walk up the stairs, and we can actually be a little more physically active as well. And we can stand more instead of sitting all the time. Sometimes it's kind of hard, whether our jobs are to be at a desk or watching kids or helping and taking care of those in need. By standing a little bit more, you're kind of, like me, just standing up here, you're kind of walking back and forth, just kind of wobbling a little bit. You're staying physically active in that way. And last but not least, you can also talk face to face with your coworkers instead of sending out some email memo, talking to them on a walkie-talkie or a phone. By getting up and actually facing your coworkers face to face, walking to them, not only do you socially interact with them better, but you also get a chance to be physically active in a basic level. When we're out and about taking our significant others on dates or whatever the case may be, we can actually be physically active as well. We can do that by going to dance lessons. I know I've been told numerous times that I should take up a dance lesson, and that will actually help me be more physically active. And I know that my fiance would probably appreciate that a little bit as well. Another thing would be to do Tai Chi or karate. That's a little bit different under circumstances, but if available, I know from at least a younger person named Jaden, he would probably say that you're very physically active in karate. Also taking a walk after dinner. It's kind of hard, I understand. You just finish a good steak from the Outback, you're full, you don't want to walk, you just want to sleep. But by taking a walk after dinner, you can actually help your cardiovascular system a little bit more, and you can actually help burn off some of those calories. Maybe having that regular soda instead of diet wasn't such a bad idea after you take a walk or so after dinner. You can also park away from the door. Parking and walking away will actually help you to be a little more physically active as well. These are all just very basic steps, but in the long run they add up. And last but not least, to be physically active while you're out and about is to use public transport. Using the bus forces you to walk from that bus station to your destination, and to get home it's the same way. By doing that, you are becoming more physically active, and even though it's on a small basic level, it still counts, it's still something, it adds up in the end. So there's a little memo that some people live by, and that's to eat whole, drink water, be active, or stay active and be healthy. This little memo to myself and to others really reminds us in how we can be physically active and more healthy in our lives by just doing these 4 simple things. Sometimes it's harder than it seems. I know there's plenty of times coming home from work, I really just want a good burger. McDonald's is super easy to pull up, order something, and go on with my life. But if we strive to do this, we can be more physically active, and it's easier to be motivated when we're eating healthily, when we're drinking healthily, we're drinking water, something that just naturally comes in and out. We really can become physically active that way and motivate ourselves. I have a couple of friends who were able to give me personal testimonies of how they felt as they work out. My first one was Daniel Knowlton. He actually had told me that by him just starting, by doing simple walks around the block, helped motivate him to feel healthy, feel better about himself. While doing wrestling, he started to hit the gym to look a little bit fit, and as he's worked at GNC and GNC for his job, he's actually understood a little bit more about the nutrients that he can take in his body to make himself feel better and also look better. And something that he told me was that ever since he joined the gym, he has never felt happier in his life. And that same principle can apply to all of us. Another one of my friends named Brandon, also a huge person that goes to the gym a lot and brags about it, had mentioned that being active has given him a chance to have a new life, basically, to really feel better about himself. He feels like he has a lot more energy as he's more physically active in his life and as he's going to the gym and things like that. And like he said, he just feels like he has a new life, a new him. He used to be scrawnier than me, believe it or not. And he's worked his way up to be a lot bigger than that now. And the last personal testimony is another friend of mine named Patrick Barrett, who's in the process of becoming physically active again in his life. And he had told me that he likes to work out because it makes him feel better about himself, makes him feel happy. And he feels like his stress is gone. He doesn't stress as much at work. He doesn't stress about his life because of those endorphins that he's getting as he's working out. And these same promises can be applied to all of us. As we begin, just like Daniel did, with simple walks around the block, we'll feel better about ourselves. It'll motivate us to do more. And as we do more, we can truly become better and become physically active just by simple things. So I can promise you that not only do you fall within that 49% of adults who are physically active, there's probably a lot more adults out there who don't know that they're physically active that really are. Before we close, I'd just like to review what we have learned today. We learned that by basic exercise, it is successful. We can do basic exercises and we actually are physically active in our lives and we feel better about ourselves, we feel happier. We just need to start small. Like I said, nobody turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger overnight by walking around the block or by hitting the gym once or twice. Start small. And as you do those small things, I can promise you, you'll work your way up to bigger and better things and you'll feel better about yourself. You'll feel happy. Don't be afraid to change your routine. Don't be afraid to take that bus, down to the station every now and then. Don't be afraid to take the bus to the mall or whatever you're going to just for fun, whether it's for a hair appointment or whether it's just for window shopping that it turns into real shopping. Changing up your routine will actually help your body guess what it's doing and work better as well. And last but not least, I want you guys to remember that by being active, you'll feel healthier. You'll be happier in your life. And I can promise you this because I have felt that as I've started going to the gym and as I've started to become more physically active in my life, I feel happier, I feel better about myself, and I feel like I have more energy. And this all started by just basic and simple things. And I know that you guys can do it too, and I challenge each and every one of you to do your best to remain physically active by doing those small and simple things, and you will work your way up and you will feel better about yourselves. Thank you again for your time. Hope you have a good night.